If you are born with a weakness that makes it easy to stumble and fall, you are also born with the strength to stand back up. Rupi Kaur. In the journey of life, no one walks on a completely flat path. Every person carries within them their own unique tilt of destiny. Some are easily hurt, some lack self-confidence, some are always a step slower than others. But the strange thing about human psychology is this: wherever fragility exists, a silent mechanism of recovery lies quietly hidden. Like the bamboo tree, the more flexible it is, the harder it is to break in strong winds. Those who have stumbled many times often possess a special kind of strength, the strength of understanding pain. They know the feeling of cold ground when their knees touch the earth, know the silence of failure, and precisely because of that, they have learned to stand up more firmly. In psychology, that is humanity's instinct for resilience. The more one faces adversity, the more the mind seeks to restructure itself to survive. Weakness, therefore, is not a verdict, but a kind of map. It shows where we are vulnerable, yet at the same time shows where we can grow stronger. A person who stumbles easily often learns patience. Someone who has failed many times understands deeply the value of effort. Just like muscles only grow after being stretched, the human will only become strong after the moments it nearly collapses. Instead of seeing weakness as a crack, we can view it as a door. That is the door leading to resilience, courage, and inner growth. Life does not demand that we always stand firm. It quietly waits to see whether, after each fall, we have the courage to rise once more. And perhaps, in the profound structure of humanity, the Creator has already placed a fair law. Wherever there is the possibility of falling, there also exists the strength to rise. When we understand that, we no longer fear the stumbles. Because every fall, after all, is simply a lesson teaching us to walk more steadily on our own path. And when you find yourself lost in darkness and despair, remember that only in the pitch-black night can you see the stars. Whitey Durham. Light often does not appear when everything is easy, but only reveals itself when we are forced to walk through the darkness within ourselves. In moments of despair, when every path seems shrouded in the fog of anxiety and disappointment, people often think they have reached the bottom of meaning. But the paradox of spiritual life is this: it is precisely then that the inner eyes begin to open. Darkness in life is not only failure, loneliness, or loss. It is also the quiet space where humans confront themselves. Just as the daytime sky is too bright for us to notice the stars that exist, life, when too noisy and favorable, easily makes us forget the deeper values of our own selves. Only when night falls, when familiar light vanishes, do those small but persistent bright points appear. Those stars may be a fragile ray of hope, a person who still remains by our side, or simply the silent strength in the soul that we had not yet recognized. Despair is sometimes not the end, but a state of transformation. When all protective layers are stripped away, humans are forced to look straight at fear, at weakness, and even at abilities never before awakened. And it is in that very process that new meaning in life begins to form, just as stars do not create the night sky, but make the darkness meaningful. When you feel you are walking through thick darkness, do not rush to think everything has gone out. Because sometimes darkness is not the enemy of light, it is the profound backdrop that allows the stars to reveal themselves. And who knows, in the very long night you are passing through, the small points of hope are quietly waiting for you to see them. Challenges make life interesting. Overcoming them makes life meaningful. Joshua J. Marine. If life is a river, then challenges are the rocky rapids that keep the flow from becoming dull. A river flowing forever on a calm surface may be peaceful, but it easily becomes monotonous. It is the bends, the collisions with stones, the rushing sections that create its sound, movement, and vitality. Humans are the same. If everything is easy, the soul gradually falls asleep in comfort. Challenges awaken the instinct to explore and the ability to adapt in humans. When facing difficulties, the mind is forced to create, the heart is forced to be resilient, and the will is forced to mature. Each challenge is like a question life asks: how truly strong are you? The process of finding the answer to that question makes life interesting because it keeps us discovering new limits within ourselves. But what gives deep value to a person's life lies not in the arrival of challenges, but in the way we pass through them. Overcoming a difficulty is like climbing a hill after a long journey. When we stand at the summit, we see not only a wider landscape, but ourselves stronger, deeper, more mature. The meaning of life is therefore not given ready-made. It is built little by little through the times we dare to face hardship and refuse to quit. Just as a diamond is formed only under the immense pressure of the earth, humans often discover their deepest value after challenges that seem impossible to overcome. And then, looking back, we realize a simple yet powerful truth. Challenges do not come to make us fall, but to turn the journey of life into a story worth telling. Because it is when we overcome them that life does not merely become interesting, it becomes meaningful. If you want to know what God thinks about money, look at the people he has given money to. Dorothy Parker. A mirror reflecting the complex relationship between humans and wealth. It is not simply about money, but about how money reveals human nature. Because money, in itself, is only a tool like white light. But when it passes through the prism of personality, it splits into many different colors: generosity, greed, arrogance, or sometimes even loneliness. Money is often seen as an invisible test. When people lack, they reveal survival instincts. But when they have more than enough, deeper layers of character begin to surface. Some use money to build bridges, to help, to share, to create opportunities for others. Others build walls using money to separate themselves from the world, to assert power or fill the voids in their souls. That is why observing how a person uses money often reveals far more than their words. If money is truly a gift, then it is also a test. Some people, when rich, become more generous, like a great tree, offering shade to many. But others, when possessing wealth, become barren, like soil that holds water only for itself and nourishes nothing around it. In such cases, money does not change them. It simply magnifies the true person who is already there. Money can buy comfort, but it cannot buy the depth of the soul. And sometimes, the way a person treats money is exactly the way they treat life. Either as a tool to create value, or as a mirror reflecting the unfilled spaces in their heart. Before marrying someone, you should let them try using a computer with a slow internet connection to see what kind of person they really are. Ferrell. In everyday life, when everything runs smoothly, fast internet, favorable work, plans unfolding as expected, people usually show their best version: calm, polite, patient. But a person's true nature is not always revealed in favorable conditions. It often appears when patience is tested by small, irritating things. A slow internet connection, which seems like a trivial detail, is actually like a miniature psychological laboratory. When a web page takes forever to load, when a video keeps buffering, when everything happens slower than expected, inner emotions begin to rise. Some people smile and wait patiently, seeing it as a small inconvenience. Others immediately become annoyed and angry, as if the world has betrayed them. It is in those very ordinary moments that we see the ability to control emotions, the level of patience, and how a person faces the imperfections of life. Marriage, in its essence, is not only beautiful days, romantic dinners, or sweet promises. It is a long journey filled with countless slow connections, small misunderstandings, tiring days, plans that do not go as hoped. If a person cannot stay calm before a small annoyance like slow internet, it is very likely they will also struggle to remain composed when facing the greater challenges of shared life. To truly understand someone, do not only watch them when everything is going well. Observe them when things become slow, uncomfortable, or contrary to their wishes. Because it is in those small moments that the social mask usually falls away, and the real person, with all their patience, irritability, tolerance, or selfishness, quietly reveals themselves. There are people who don't know what they're doing, but there are also many people who are very good at it. Carlin. It is the ability to act with full confidence even when the understanding inside remains hazy. In social life, not everyone truly understands the path they are on. Some walk as if groping through fog, yet what is remarkable is that they still move very fast, very powerfully, and even lead others. Confidence is not always proportional to understanding. Some people understand deeply and therefore become more cautious because they see the complexity of the world. But others, because they do not recognize the depth of the issue, step forward with astonishing certainty. They are like people rowing on the surface of a lake without knowing how deep the water is below. Yet it is precisely that not knowing that makes them row so fast. Those who are still thinking carefully step slowly, while those who have not truly understood act very decisively. And when that happens repeatedly, we begin to see individuals who are very good at not knowing what they are doing, yet they speak eloquently, act strongly, and even convince everyone around them. True intelligence lies not only in acting, but also in the ability to recognize the limits of one's own knowledge. Wise people sometimes walk more slowly, because they know the world is far more complex than it appears. And it is that very humility before the unknown that becomes the foundation of growth. It is not always the strongest actor who understands most clearly. Sometimes the noise of confidence simply hides the gaps in understanding. And in that world, knowing that one does not know is truly a sign of intelligence. The older I get, the farther I go, the more I learn, yet the more I feel I know little. B.J. Neblett. When young, people often see the world as a simple map. Clear, easy to understand, with an answer for every question. Knowledge then feels like small bricks. Each new thing learned makes us feel we are building a solid tower of understanding. But as years pass, as we travel farther, meet more people, and experience more reality, we begin to realize that tower is not standing on empty ground, but on a vast continent of the unknown. This is the sign of intellectual maturity. The more knowledgeable a person becomes, the more they recognize the complexity of the world. Like a climber, at the foot of the mountain, they think the peak is right ahead, but the higher they climb, the broader the view, and they see countless other ranges stretching to the horizon. Knowledge, therefore, does not make people arrogant. Instead, it makes them humble. That paradox also reflects a profound law of perception. Learning is not only the process of gathering answers, but also the process of discovering new questions. Each experience, each journey, each encounter is like a door opening. And behind every door, instead of a small room, we often find a long corridor with many more doors waiting to be opened. The feeling of knowing less as we mature is actually not a loss of knowledge, but an expansion of vision. It is like standing before the ocean. The longer we look, the more we realize how vast the horizon truly is. And it is that awareness of vastness that makes people deeper, calmer, and more humble. Perhaps that is why the truly knowledgeable person is not the one who claims to know everything, but the one who dares to admit that the world still holds countless things left to learn. And it is that humility that marks a matured intelligence. No one's life unfolds exactly according to their plan. Just that fact alone is enough to bring a sense of relief to everyone. Andrea Sawyer. When young, people often draw a clear blueprint for themselves. What to study, what to do, who to love, when to succeed. Those plans are like straight lines carefully drawn on the map of the future. But life, with its living and unpredictable nature, rarely follows those straight lines. It is more like a river winding, changing direction, sometimes flowing through lands we never imagined we would reach. The greatest worry for people is not only failure, but the feeling that they are going the wrong way. When things do not follow the plan, we easily think we are the only one who is lost. But the profound truth of life is that almost everyone is walking a path different from their original map. Successful people have taken detours. Confident people have felt lost. Even the calmest souls have stood at crossroads without knowing which way to go. If no one's life follows the plan perfectly, then our own deviation is not a failure. It is simply a natural part of the journey. Like a long trip, sometimes the most beautiful stretches lie exactly where we never planned to stop. We realize that life is not a technical drawing to be executed with perfect precision. It is more like a story being written step by step with unexpected twists, unpredicted chapters, and sometimes the very changes outside the plan that make the story richer. No one living exactly according to plan is not something to worry about. On the contrary, it is like a quiet comfort from life itself. You are not lost alone, and who knows, those unplanned paths may lead you to the most authentic version of yourself. Life doesn't need to be perfect to be wonderful. Annette Funicello. From childhood, we are often taught that everything should be right. High grades, stable jobs, a life following a clear path. Gradually, an ideal picture forms in our minds, a flawless life where every detail is neatly arranged like a perfect blueprint. But reality is rarely like an architectural drawing. It is more like a painting created with unexpected brushstrokes, sometimes smudged, sometimes clumsy, yet holding a very real beauty. The pursuit of perfection is often a subtle trap. When people believe everything must be perfect to have value, they unintentionally turn joy into something hard to reach. They wait for when things are more stable, when plans work out, when I become better, before allowing themselves to feel happy. But life does not work that way. The most wonderful moments usually appear in the most ordinary circumstances. A sudden, rainy afternoon, a sincere conversation, a laugh breaking through tiring days. The wonder of life does not lie in everything being perfect, but in humanity's ability to find meaning within the imperfection. Just like jazz music, its beauty comes not from absolute precision, but from unexpected variations and offbeat notes full of emotion. Humans are the same. Mistakes, unfinished plans, and sudden turns in life do not diminish the story. Sometimes they are exactly what make it come alive. We learn to see the cracks as part of the beauty, just as light can only shine through the gaps. And then we realize a simple yet profound truth. Life does not need to be perfect to be worth living. As long as we can still feel joy, connection, and meaning in each small moment, that life is already wonderful enough. Don't let the good days make you arrogant, and don't let the bad days break your heart. Ghosn. People often let their emotions rise and fall with circumstances. When things are good, we easily believe we stand on an unchanging peak. When difficulties come, we think the whole world is collapsing around us. But in truth, both states are merely waves on the surface of life's ocean. Good days, if not viewed with clarity, can become a mirror that enlarges the ego. Success, praise, or sudden luck sometimes make us forget that life is always changing. Like midday sunlight making us think the sky will stay bright forever, we mistake a favorable moment for an eternal truth. But psychologically mature people understand that good days are not proof of superiority, but temporary gifts from life's flow. Conversely, bad days often carry more weight than their true nature. A failure, a misunderstanding, or a sadness can make our minds exaggerate everything, as if the entire sky has gone dark. But just as rain cannot last forever, difficult days are only dark passages in a much longer story. If we let them defeat us, we give them more power than they truly possess. Calmness. A person who understands life does not become overly elated when the wind is favorable, nor does he despair when the wind turns against him. He is like an experienced sailor, knowing the water can be calm one moment and rough the next, yet the most important thing is to keep the helm steady. When humans learn to stand in that place of calm, life becomes much lighter. Good days turn into joys to be grateful for, not reasons for arrogance. Bad days become lessons for growth, not wounds to collapse under. And in that balance, the soul gradually becomes steadfast, like a great tree standing firm through the changing seasons.